lost in my own feelings. It's where you found me. And now I see me clearer. Through your eyes there's freedom forevermore. Forever free now from the hand of the enemy. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm alive, the oldest dead now, never looking back or far ahead. Now all the broken hearted, stuck in darkness, step into the light now. We got the light now. Seeing, hearing, heaven touching earth, revealing all you have for me. Yeah, yeah, now I'm reaching higher. Your fire burning in my heart, brighter than it's ever been, feeling free to run and go. I'm alive, the oldest dead now, never looking back or far ahead. Now all the broken hearted, stuck in darkness, step into the light now. We got the light now.
Lights up, beaming, keep it dim in the dark, keep it bright. Time to see them, think it's really time we give the world a light show. Ocean beaming with that freedom, keep the light close, open blind eyes. Let's go, it's lit.
Now I'm alive, the oldest dead now, never looking back or far ahead. Now all the broken hearted, stuck in darkness, step into the light now. We got the light now.
This life feels like the longest part, even though eternity is ours. And on our way to streets of gold, we'll savor every mile of this road. We're not where we're going, and we're not lost where we are. Taking the long way home, just taking the long way home. There's beauty on the back roads, even when this journey's hard. Taking the long way home, just taking the long way home. Celebrate what we have now, living life like every moment counts. Here on earth with kingdom eyes, treasuring the gift of borrowed time. We're not where we're going, and we're not lost where we are. Taking the long way home, just taking the long way home. There's beauty on the back roads, even when this journey's hard. Taking the long way home, just taking the long way home. No, we won't miss the view while we're on this climb. Oh, the stories we'll take to the other side. No, we won't miss the view while we're on this ride. Oh, the stories we'll take to the other side. The other side. We're right. Oh, the stories we'll take to the other side.
Eyes wide, I'm set on you. You made a road in the wild, standing on ancient truth. I'm pressing on with my back to the past, and oh, let the young see visions of the future, and I sing, oh, let the old dream dreams again in my world. God, do a new thing. I know you're moving in my world. A chain reaction of holy passion. Oh. Stride with you. Oh, it's bursting like heaven in motion. Jesus, you make me new. I'm pressing on with my back to the past, and oh, let the young see visions of the future, and I sing, oh, oh, let the old dream dreams again in my world. God, do a new thing. I know you're moving in my world. The chain reaction of holy passion.
Well, hey everyone, welcome to the Ridge Community Church Online. It is so great to be with you today. If we haven't yet met, my name is Tyler and I serve as one of the pastors here at the Ridge. And if you are joining us for the very first time, or maybe you've checked us out a few times, hey, welcome. We are so glad that you are here, and we want to help come alongside you to help you make this more than just watching a service, but help you actually connect with us as a church. And the easiest way to do that is if you would actually just text the word connect to the phone number you see below me, or scan the QR code that you see below me. And what will happen is there's going to be a couple different links that'll come up. You can actually let us know how we can pray for you. You can let us know what questions you may have, and we can answer them. And you can also join our email list so you can find out all the different ways that you can connect with other people right here at the Ridge, whether it's online or in one of our locations. But whatever you do, we are so glad that you are here as we're kicking off a brand new series today called I've Got Issues. And let me tell you, after the last couple of days of all the snow and cold and power outages, I've learned I got some issues that I got to work through, and we're going to work through some big issues together that maybe we don't see are in our lives, but they're actually impacting our lives. And we're going to learn from God how we can overcome these issues and find better health for us. Our lead pastor, Mark, is going to walk us through that in just a little bit. We can't wait to hear from him. But before we do, we're actually going to spend some time just connecting with God and celebrating all of the great things that he's doing in our life right now. We're going to do that through music. So I would encourage you to sing out loud wherever you are, or just reflect on these words as a way to reflect on the good things that God is doing in your life, like giving you Wi-Fi and power right now. Hey, thanks for joining us. Let's head over to our band.
Hello, everybody. We're going to be singing a new song. Just want to thank you for worshiping with us today. Here we go.
and be glad, rejoice and be glad in it. And this is where I believe that you are more than enough, you're more than enough for me. You are faithful to your promise, you are strong when I am weak. When I'm standing in your presence, I have everything I need. The joy of the Lord, the joy of the Lord is my strength. It's more than a feeling. The joy of the Lord, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Oh, my soul, bless his name. All that is within me say, the joy of the Lord, the joy of the Lord is my strength. I've got the joy, I've got the joy, I've got the Jesus, come what may, 'cause you are worthy of all my praise. Hey, 'cause you are faithful to your promise, you are strong when I am weak. When I'm standing in your presence, I have everything I need. The joy of the Lord, the joy of the Lord is my strength. It's more than a feeling. The joy of the Lord, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Say, oh my soul, bless his name. All that is within me say, the joy of the Lord, the joy of the Lord is my strength. I've got the joy, I've got the joy, I've got the joy. So let it rise up like a river, overflowing. Holy Spirit, and let it pour out with no limit, overflowing. Holy Spirit, say let it rise up like a river. It's overflowing tonight. It's overflowing tonight. Let it pour out with no limit. Holy Spirit, clap your hands, clap your hands. It's more than a feeling. It's more than a feeling. Everybody say, the joy of the Lord, the joy of the Lord is my strength. It's more than a feeling. The joy of the Lord, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Say, oh my soul, bless his name. All that is within me say, oh my soul, bless his name. All that is within me say, oh my soul, bless his name. All that is within me say, the joy of the Lord, the joy of the Lord is my strength.
What does it mean to belong? I would rather fit in and then pick and choose when to stand out.
I think there's always pressure to fit in. I've learned the importance of being yourself.
The pressures of this world are so heavy. Everyone wants to fit in.
Belonging is profoundly better than fitting in. To belong is to be seen, to be known, to be understood, and to be accepted.
I don't want to be who you say I should be. I want to be who I am.
Even though the world may not know, God knows you.
Well, hey, if you've spent any time with us at the Ridge, you may have heard us talk about Alpha. And the reason for that is Alpha is just one of our favorite things that we get to do around here. If you're new to Alpha, what Alpha is, it's this short-term group that meets once a week for a few weeks, and then it disbands. And it's designed for those who are new to faith or curious about faith. You may have questions about what does it mean to follow Jesus, or you just wondering, hey, how do I belong with a group of people that are exploring what it means to find faith altogether? Well, Alpha is this safe place, non-judgmental environment where you get to explore all of those issues together. It's really helpful. In fact, the last time that we ran Alpha, there was one lady, Denise, who went through Alpha, and she actually wrote out her story, and she wanted us to share it with you. Hear this, and notice the hope that Denise finds as I read her story. Here's what Denise writes. She says, after the Permission to Deconstruct series, which was a message series that we've done, she says, I found myself carrying a lot of pain and unforgiveness. She said, my sister's tragic death had shattered our family, and I struggled to move on from it. When Forrest, who is one of our teaching pastors, he talked about forgiveness, I couldn't fathom it. I questioned if God was even listening to my prayers. She said, eventually, my husband convinced me to join Alpha, and I was reluctant. I had trust issues, and I kept my walls up, but through Alpha, I discovered I wasn't alone in my pain and questions about faith. She writes, I met people with similar struggles, and I realized the power of community. She belonged. It was life-changing for me. She said, I've started building my relationships with Jesus. I'm diving into Scripture every day. I'm more hopeful than I've been in years. I've been praying for forgiveness and healing for so long, and Alpha has given me the trust, direction, and conviction I've needed. She writes, now I'm excited about the upcoming Alpha series because I'll be there bringing a friend who is struggling with her faith. I want others to have the same type of opportunity for that transformation. And what Denise is experiencing is the hope of Jesus. And Jesus brought that to her through Alpha. Now, her journey is just beginning as she's learning to discover what it means to follow Jesus. And you can experience this as well. In fact, Denise and I, we want this for you as well. And so if you're curious about faith, or if you know someone who is, I want to encourage you to check out this next season of Alpha that kicks off this week. You can find out more about Alpha by visiting the website that you'll see below me. We're going to have Alphas launch all throughout the year, and I want you to join us for this one specifically. Also, if you have a high school student living in your home, our Ridge High School students, they are going to be going through Alpha designed just for high school students together as well in this season here at the Ridge, and so you can actually find out more information about that as well at the link below, so your high school students can explore faith together. Now, anytime we take a step to explore faith or wonder what it means to follow Jesus, that's a step towards him, and we call that a faith step around here. And what happens is when we take a step of faith, God honors that and moves towards us because of that. And so Alpha, joining that, is one step we can take. Another step that I want to invite you to take is to trust Jesus with our finances. And he says when we give back towards him, our heart moves closer towards him. And so I want to invite all of us right now to actually give to the Ridge's vision to bring the hope of Jesus into every home, to take this step of faith. And you can do so by visiting the website that you see below me. We're going to take a moment and we're going to give generously back to God right now. And then after this moment, we're actually going to then kick off our I've Got Issues series.
I'm jealous, I'm overzealous. When I'm high, I get real down. When I'm high, I don't come down. And I get angry, baby, believe me. I could love you just like that, and I could leave just as fast. But you don't judge me, 'cause if you did, baby, I would judge you too. See, you don't judge me, 'cause if you did, baby, I would judge you too. 'Cause I got issues, you got them too. So give them all to me and I'll give mine to you. Bask in the glory of all our problems, 'cause we got the kind of love it takes to solve them. 'Cause I got issues, and one of them is how bad I need you. You do things on purpose. You get mad and you break things and feel bad, try to fix things. But you're perfect, poorly wired circuit. You got hands like an ocean, push you out, pull you back in. But you don't judge me, 'cause if you did, baby, I would judge you too. So you don't judge me, 'cause you see it from the same point of view. See, I got issues, but you got them too. So give them all to me and I'll give mine to you. Bask in the glory of all our problems, 'cause we got the kind of love it takes to solve them. Yeah, I got issues.
All right. Well, welcome, Ridge Community Church. And when I say welcome, I mean all you are joining us online at our Oak Creek Franklin campus and right here in Greenfield. Hey, before I kick it off, I just want to celebrate what I think is some really, really cool news. Last week, if you were here, we cast a goal for where we're going. It's called a vision goal over the next season of our church. And as a part of that, our church was challenged to do what we call 21 days of prayer and fasting. And we've done it for a couple years, and but this year we set a really high goal. We were hoping that 600 people would sign up for it, which is more than double than what we've ever had before. Well, I'm here to tell you that nearly 700 people have signed up for it, and that is just really cool news. And so I just want to say what a significance that was as we commit this first part of the year to God, and once again, just going to see what He does. And so if you weren't here and you missed out and you still want to do it, we want to encourage you to do it. And so I want to encourage you to text the word pray to this number, and you can join the nearly 700 really cool people, okay, that are doing it. And once again, want to encourage you to do it. Now today, just as the song says, we are kicking off a series called I've Got Issues. And let me be upfront, I've got some issues. Here are just a few of them. I'm addicted to chocolate. When we run out of chocolate in our home, I mean, I just break out in hives and I get really, really angry. Here's another one. I can't stand slow drivers. I'll be driving in the car and the family will be with me, and then there'll be a slow driver ahead of me. And then here's what I always do. I start telling everybody in the car what a bad person that is and that they aren't going to heaven and just all that stuff. And everybody every time just goes like, shush, you know, and they're just kind of shaking their head, but I do it anyways. Another issue I have is I make this clicking sound. Just kind of, I don't even know it, but I'll make it when I'm around the house. And Donna and the kids, they just can't stand it. Now, those aren't really serious issues, but you know what? I have some serious issues. I can tend to hold a grudge. I can have no problem, another one, I can have no problem just laying someone out if I need to. And here's a big one. I have a very difficult time enjoying things and enjoying people because I am never satisfied with myself or other people. Now, those are just a few of my serious issues. I have way, way more than that. But here's the thing. I'm not the only one that has issues. Every single one of us has issues. And I'm just going to prove it to you. Show of hands. How many of you would say, I have issues of some kind? I have issues. Just show of hands. Yeah, that's right. Show of hands online. Oak Creek. Okay, here's the thing. If you didn't raise your hand, you already exposed that you have an issue. And here's what it is. You lack self-awareness, okay? Because we all have issues. Now, just as we kind of kick off this series, okay, I just kind of want to just kind of get this out there, okay? And just kind of what we would call when we had a baby, want to burp the baby a little bit, all right? And here's what I'm doing. I'm going to count to 3, and then I want everybody to just say with authority, I've got issues, okay? Can we do that? I've got issues, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah, that's right. I've got issues. Now, here's what we're going to do next. I'm going to count to 3, and then I want you to turn to the person next to you and say, you've got issues. Ready? 1, 2, no, I'm just kidding. But we like that better, right? I mean, we really do. We like that better because, we can see and focus on other people's issues, and we like to do that. But this series is called I've Got Issues. And so for this entire series, we're going to take the focus off of other people, and we're going to look in the mirror, and we're going to look at ourselves, and we are going to look at our issues. And so because of that, I thought that there needs to be some phrases that are just off limits throughout this series. And here's one of the phrases. Man, I wish so-and-so was here listening to this message. Or here's one. My brother-in-law, sister, you can kind of fill in the blank. My so-and-so really struggles with this one. And then here's the last one I think that needs to be off limits. Glad I don't struggle with that. Now, there's one thing that I just kind of want to just kind of throw out there before we kick things off, and it's this. Some of us have this idea that the local church is the last place that we should talk about issues. Because I think for some of us, we have this idea that, people go to church that have it all together. Actually, the local church is meant to be a place for people who don't have it all together, where they get together and they partner with God and one another to find freedom and healing from their issues. And so as we go through this series and you're thinking, am I the only one? Nope. You are one of everyone. And so today I'm going to kick it off by talking about an issue that all of us deal with at some level, but for most of us, we don't even realize it, or if we do, we minimize the impact that it has on our lives. However, this issue that we talk about has devastating consequences on our life. You see, this issue is the reason why some of you are pushing your kids to do things that they don't want to do. This issue, for many of you, is causing the unhappiness in your dating life, in your marriage, in your finances, and with God. This issue is causing anxiety and maybe even depression in some of your lives. And most importantly, this issue is causing you to miss out on the life that God has created you to live. The issue that we are going to kick off with, that we're going to start to talk about as we go through the series, is this: discontentment. Now, I chose discontentment to kind of kick off the series because I was just thinking about that. If we can learn to be content, we will have the most meaningful, enjoyable, satisfying year that we could ever have, because we will instantly become more open to God, have deeper relationships, and be more willing to deal with the other issues that we talk about. So, what is discontentment? I love what Pastor John Mark Comer, how he defines it. He just says this. He says, discontent is the nagging feeling of always wanting more. I find it interesting that we live in a country that, compared to the rest of the world, is one of the most resourced in the world. And when I mean resource, I don't just mean finances. I mean education and counseling and just opportunities in general. Yet, we are one of the most discontent countries in the world. So what is causing the dis and discontentment? Well, there are many things, but there is one that really, really drives it. I'm going to spend the rest of my time talking about this one in particular, and here's what it is: comparison. I recently heard someone say that discontentment always starts with this phrase right here: I wish. I wish I had this, or I wish I didn't have this. you're single and you're starting to date someone and you wish, I wish she was more like my last girlfriend, or I wish he had muscles like Mark did. Or you're married, and you're just thinking, I wish our marriage was more like our neighbor's marriage. He does this for her, or she does this for him. Or, this is big with our kids, because we see what other people's kids, where they're going to school and how advanced they are, and the sports that they're in, and we're like, oh man, his kid, he can dunk a basketball and he's only 4. And my son, he can only do this. And it's like, I wish. And so we end up pushing our kids. And if we're honest with ourselves, this is really nasty and ugly stuff, because we aren't content with ourselves. And as a result, we filter that discontentment onto other people, and then we end up placing expectations on them that they can't meet, which only furthers the whole discontentment cycle. And here's the ugly part. We end up saying, I wish, because I or they is not good enough. This perpetual state of discontentment we live in is a lot like living life on a hamster wheel. Now, just for you Packer fans, we ended up buying a green one, okay? Just to kind of connect with you, because I know this is kind of an important thing for you this week, all that stuff. But here's what we do. We're going out, we're living our life. All of a sudden, we're looking around, and then we see someone, and then as a result, we start comparing our lives with theirs. And as a result, we jump on the hamster wheel, and we start running because we go, well, I got to catch him. I got to catch her. I got to catch them. And so we run and we go, well, I wish, so I got to be better. I wish, so I got to get more than they do. And, we keep running, trying to get there, but there is no there, because there's always another there. And what ends up happening is that we don't end up anywhere. Life is exhausting on the hamster wheel, because we keep running, and there's no finish line, which means there's no peace, there's no joy, and you know what? We can't enjoy who or what we think is not good enough. So what I want to do is I want to look at a passage in the Old Testament book of Ecclesiastes. And this is one of those passages that was written thousands of years ago that when you read, you go, how did they know? How did they know? And the reason why they know is because this isn't a today thing. This is a people thing. And the book of Ecclesiastes is written by one of the most fascinating people in all of history, not just the Bible, King Solomon. And King Solomon was considered one of the wisest people that has ever lived, and he had nearly 1,000 wives. Not sure how wise that is, but he had nearly 1,000 wives, and he is also was also one of the most wealthiest individuals that has ever lived. Yet he dealt with discontentment, and he's gonna write about our tendency to compare ourselves to other people. Such a great passage. Here's what he says. He says, "And I saw all the toil and achievement spring from one person's envy of another." Do you know what envy is? It's really looking at someone else and going, I wish. And so Solomon says, well, I've been watching people. And I just notice that people every person is competing with everybody else. And they're looking at each other, trying to determine where they are based on where everybody else is. And then he says this really, really fascinating phrase. He says, well, this too is meaningless. And here's the phrase, a chasing after the wind. Now, let me ask you, have you ever chased the wind before? Hopefully not, because we would then have to add another week to I've Got Issues series if you did that. You see, why do we not chase after the wind? Because it's pointless. You can't catch the wind. And so what Solomon says, he says, using other people as a reference point, he says it is pointless because there is never a winner. You end up just jumping on the hamster wheel, and you go, and you go, and you go, and you say, well, I got to run after this, I got to run after that, but you can never catch it because someone always has more. And so the next time that you find yourself just kind of looking around and you go, oh, I wish I had hair like that, or I wish I had a body like his, or I wish I could fit into jeans like she does, or I wish I could drive his car, or I wish I could be married to her. The next time you find yourself looking at someone else's situation and wishing, I just want you to say out loud, nope, that is chasing of the wind. I'm not going to do that. And then Solomon, what he says next is pretty fascinating. He says, fools fold their hands and ruin themselves. And so Solomon's like, okay, I don't want you to take this to the extreme. I don't want you to go, well, because I'll never be good enough or because I'll never catch them, well, then I'm not going to do anything. Solomon says, being lazy, being unproductive, playing the victim card, that is not the answer. In fact, it's not going to help you. It's going to make your life worse. And then what Solomon says next, I think this is the picture of what contentment looks like. And for some of us, as we just kind of continue to press into 2024, I think right here, this for some of you, I think this is the picture you need to grab a hold of as we move into 2024. Here's what he says. He says, better one handful with tranquility than two handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. Now, the imagery here is really, really cool. Tranquility just means this, satisfaction. Or as we would say, it just means contentment. Contentment is, I'm good. I'm good. So you go home later and you walk into your house and you walk into your apartment and you just go, you know what? I'm good. You go and watch the game with a relative or a friend, and you go to their house and they have a bigger house and they have so much nicer stuff, and you just go, I'm really happy for them. And so Solomon says, and this is the imagery part, Solomon says, better is one handful open and learning to live with contentment with only what one handful will hold than living with two fists clenched full of stuff, just continuing to try to grab on as much as you can. Because if you live like this, there's no peace, because culture's always going to push us to more. And then two handfuls is not going to be enough. And then you got to get 3 and 4 and on and on and on. In other words, we never get to a place where we just go, you know what? I've been running. You know what? I think I've run enough. I think I'm going to step off of this. I'm good. Solomon says we will never reach that place. And so he says, hey, better one handful with tranquility than two fists full of stuff. And so here's what I want us to do. I want you to take your hands for a minute, put them out in front of you, online, Oak Creek Frank, I want you to do this as well. Okay, here's just what I want you to do. I want you to do this hand motion. Better one handful with tranquility than two fistful, and just clench them really tight, than two fistful of stuff that you're just trying to hold. One handful of tranquility, then two fistful of stuff. There's the picture of it right there. Now, here's the challenge that we all have. We assume more is better. But chasing after more, think about this, chasing after more always leaves us wanting more. And I can prove it to you. If I were to sit down with you and I were to say, hey, I want you to tell me a story about a time in your life when you were the most content, you would tell me a story of a time where you probably had the least amount of stuff. I was thinking about this just for me, and the happiest time for me is Don and I were relatively newlyweds. We were under 2 years married, and I was going to leave my corporate job to go to school and train to be a pastor. And so to do that, we had to move. And I still remember we were packing up our one-bedroom apartment, and we couldn't afford to have a U-Haul truck, so we'd have a U-Haul trailer. And so we pulled up this trailer, and we're stuffing everything in this trailer. And we were down to one more thing to fit in the trailer, and it was our TV. And we only had, one TV, and it was like the really big TV because they didn't have the flat screen TVs and all that stuff, and it just wouldn't fit. And I remember Donna was like, man, we we got to throw away the TV. And I remember just hugging the TV and going, we can't throw away the cats instead, and I'm just, we're not going to have a TV, how are we going to make it? And, but we threw the TV away, and all that stuff. And we had to sell a car because, we couldn't afford both cars. And so we had to sell a car, and then we kept her car. And the car that she had was just this car that barely ran. And what was interesting about it is when it would rain a lot, the trunk would fill up with water. And so we took it to mechanics, multiple mechanics. We said, is there a leak in here? And no mechanic could figure out where the leak is. And so it was a possessed car that we ended up having. And so we move into eventually what is this duplex that wasn't even 600 square feet. And it was just this tiny duplex, and we kind of move in there, and we were living off of $8.75 in an hour. And I still remember, Donna, we'd get paid, and we'd be like, okay, we can't get this grocery, but we can get this one, and we got to wait for this one. And that's kind of how we lived, and we had less, but we were so happy. Most of us, we have more than we've ever had before. But when I said, hey, tell me the time when you were the most happy, you were thinking about a time when you had least, because you didn't deal with the pressures that having more stuff often comes with. Here's the point. Less is actually more when the less you hold is what you were created for. You see, better is one hand full with tranquility than striving, than pretending, than pushing, than chasing. And then Solomon, he says this, because he's not done. He says, okay, again, I saw something meaningless under the sun. There was a man all alone, and he had neither son or brother. Now, this is a big deal back then, because if you didn't have a son or brother, then you had no one to leave your wealth to, because women could not inherit things. And then he says, there was no end to his toil. In other words, this dude's just getting after it. He's getting after it. And then he says, yet his eyes were not content with his wealth. And so this guy, he's on the hamster wheel. And he's running, and he's running, and he's going after it, but for some reason, he stops. And as he stops, he considers two important questions. And the reason these questions are important is because these are perspective questions. And the beautiful thing about perspective is the right perspective leads to contentment. And here are the questions, and these are questions that we all need to ask. He says this. The guy asks, well, for whom am I toiling? In other words, who am I really doing this for? And then he follows up with this question. Why am I depriving myself of enjoyment? In other words, why are you doing this? Who are you doing this for? Why are you doing it? Now, here's the interesting thing. Every single one of us, we already have answers to these questions. For some, the reason why we're doing it is because we're competing with a sibling. For some, we're trying to live up to the expectations of a father, or we're trying to please a mother. For some of us, we're on social media, or we've had conversations at work or in the neighborhood, or with friends, and they're talking about their vacation, and they're talking about what their kids are doing, and they're talking about the stuff that they're buying. And so what are we doing? We are competing with them. Now, for some of you, you're going, I'm not doing it for any of those reasons. I'm doing it for myself. Because I'm ambitious, I'm a goal setter, or I'm doing it for my family. You know what? That might be true. Nothing wrong with ambition and goal setting. But if you're really honest, that's probably not the full reason. Who are you doing it for, and why? If you would answer those questions honestly, it'll actually free you up to experience more contempt in your life, because it'll lead you down to a trail where you actually discover the truth of better one handful with tranquility than two fistful of stuff. And then our guy Solomon, here's what he closes up with, and I love this. He just says this. This too is meaningless. It's a miserable, miserable business. In other words, hey, this whole thing, getting on the hamster wheel, this is a sucky way to live life. Because we were not created to live our lives on the hamster wheel, and to look over here and look over there and to jump on this and keep running, because here's what we end up doing. We expend all our energy on this, which is the energy God gave us to live the life and the calling that He created us to live. So, how do we keep ourselves then from staying on this thing, and as a result, experience contentment in our life? Well, I want to read to you one more passage that is written in the New Testament book of Hebrews, and here's what the writer of Hebrews says. He says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles." You know what hinders? I wish, run. And then he says, "And let us run with perseverance." And I love this phrase, "the race marked out for us." Do you realize that God has a race just for you? That He has a mission, that He has a purpose, that He has a calling just for you, that it's unique just to you because God made you unique. Now, how do we discover what that is? Well, the writer tells us. He says, "Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith." In other words, we got to stop looking what everybody else is doing and kind of looking at their race and running. And he says, I want you to focus on Jesus, because when you do, you will start to get perspective, and you will go on a journey with Jesus, and in that journey, He will reveal to you what your race is. So, how do we keep off of this? We learn, and we have to learn, to run our race and quit chasing the wind. That God created a race just for you, and many of us, unfortunately, are missing that out because we're wishing we were running someone else's race. So I want to wrap things up by giving you 2 phrases that will help you learn how to run your race. That when you find yourself jumping on the hamster wheel and you start running, these are things you kind of stop and you go from I wish to something different. 2 phrases, and as you kind of learn these phrases, and never which one stands out to you, I want you to just practice saying them out loud. There's just power in saying them out loud. So here's the first phrase I want you to learn. This is where we go from I wish to God I'm thankful for. When we start comparing ourselves to someone else, we don't realize this, but we start believing that we're not good enough, that we're not pretty enough, that we're not worthy enough. And once we go down that trail, then ingratitude begins to seep into our heart. And ingratitude always leads to more discontentment. Well, if ingratitude leads to discontentment, then it makes sense that gratitude is part of the cure. I read this quote a couple weeks ago, and I don't even know who wrote this quote, but here's the quote. "Contentment is not the fulfillment of all we want." And that's what we think. We think, if I just get all I want, then life will be good. But it's the realization of all that we have. And this is what gratitude will do. It'll open our eyes to the reality of all that we have. And so here's an exercise I want to give for some of you that this will just kind of really hit home for. I want to encourage you to take a notepad, or you can use your notes app, or Tyler always uses this Happy Feed app. And all next week, I want you just to sit down, and I want you to just write 3 things that you're grateful for. Just want you to just write them down. 3 things. I'm telling you, you get to the end of the week, and you will see your life completely different, because God will give you new eyes, because you will begin to see the reality of what your life really is. Last phrase. I want to encourage you to go from I wish to God I'm happy for them. If gratitude, celebrating other people's success is a discontentment killer, because it rips out the weed of envy in our life. And so we have to learn how to do this, because most of us, this doesn't come very naturally for. And so here's what I want to challenge you to do this week. When you're around that person who you have a hard time being around because, things are going on in your life and you wish, I just want you to say something like this. I'm happy for you. And I want you to say it to them out loud. And so you're at work and they get the promotion that you wanted. You go, you know what? I'm happy for you. Or, you wanted your son or your daughter to get into that league or that school, but their son or their daughter got into that school. I just want you to say, you know what? I'm happy for you. You know, you've been praying about something, and for some reason that prayer hasn't been answered yet, but then you're around someone and they have in their life what you are praying for. Hey, you know, I'm really happy for you. Packer fans, after you go down in flames this week or today, and you know you're around a Cowboys fan, I just want you to say to them, I'm really happy for you. And I'm telling you, it doesn't work. And I'm telling you, you do that, God will begin to do a work in your heart, because he will begin to rip out the very thing that is fueling discontentment in your life. Growing up, I was always told by parents and relatives and close friends, they're like, hey, Mark, you're going to be successful someday. And the reason why they would say that is because I was always very driven at a young age and did well in school, and I always knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a CEO of a large company, you know, and so I spent just all my childhood just kind of focused on that dream. Now, my middle brother, he was the complete opposite of me. He wasn't motivated at all. And he didn't do well in school. In fact, he flunked out of 3 colleges. I don't know how you do that, but he was able to do it, and he flunked out of 3 colleges. And most people were very concerned with where his life was going to go. Well, after college, I got a job with a Fortune 100 company. I was on the fast track, but I left that job because I decided to become a pastor, and something I wasn't planning on doing, because I wanted people to discover the same thing I discovered, life change in Jesus. And so I wanted to spend my life helping other people do that. My brother, he decided after flunking out of his 3rd school to become a mover of a small moving company in Michigan. And he did that for a year, and then eventually he decided to take a risk, and he wanted to start a franchise of that in Wisconsin, to be the very first one here, and so he did that. And surprisingly, it became widely successful. So much so that he opened up another location, and he just became a multi-millionaire, so much so that he could have retired easily by the age of 40. And I can remember, I would look at his life, and I would start to compare my life with his, and he had these huge houses, you know, and he drove really nice cars, and then I would get into my old Corolla that rattled and barely ran, you know, and be like, I wish. And then, you know, he didn't have to worry about money. I mean, paying for his kids' colleges and bills and retirement and all that stuff. And like most of us, you know, it's kind of like you just kind of just day to day, and like, I wish. And I would try to make myself feel better. I would say things like, well, if I took his path, I would have been just as successful as he was. And I remember even got to the point where I said, well, he's doing what he's doing, but I gave up everything for God. And I just, the more I did that, it didn't make me feel better. It actually made me feel worse, because the more you just go down the trail of discontentment, this is exactly what happens. Well, I finally reached a point where just kind of that ugliness, Donna goes, man, you gotta deal with that ugliness, you know, because you got a race that you're running. And I just remember just going like, okay, I got to deal with this. And I remember sitting down one morning, and I go, God, I'm just going to list all the things I'm thankful for. And so I just made this big list. And I'm like, God, I'm thankful for my family, and I'm thankful for just the opportunity to be a part of a church that's doing really cool things, and the staff that I get to work with, and the people I get to meet. And we're breaking new ground in the Milwaukee area as far as segregation, collaborating with other churches. And every time someone gets baptized, I'm like, I get to be a part of that. I get to be a part of that. And then I just remember going, you know what, I got to stop. I stopped ripping on his success, and I need to start celebrating his success. And I started doing that publicly. I'd be talking to people that were thinking of, hey, I think I want to do this, I want to do that. And I go, hey, let me tell you my brother's story. And then I would start to tell his story, and the more I told his story, it was like I started to really grab a hold of just the power of his story, because it is really a rags to riches story. And I'm thinking to myself, I could never do that. And he honors God with everything. And after a while, that envy and jealousy, it turned to just being very proud of my brother. And I'm still proud to this day. Now, here's the thing. When we wrestle with some of these things, when it comes to discontentment and jumping on there and all that stuff, I'm not saying that we will never be tempted to jump on this wheel and start to chase and start to chase and start to chase. No, we will be, and we will continue to be. But what I am saying is that your life and my life will be so much more satisfying enjoyable and meaningful when we focus all our energy on our race rather than someone else's race. Let me pray for us. Father, I think if we're really honest with ourselves, I think every single one of us goes, oh yeah, I've caught myself looking and going, I wish. And we just start chasing after things, and we're making decisions, and we're treating people, and we're unhappy with because of this very thing right here. We deal with just a deep sense of discontentment. And God, as we just kind of wrestle with that, and the reason, God, I know we need to wrestle because we blame it on all sorts of things, but the reality is this is just a deep root that we need to rip out in our hearts. And so as we just kick off this series and we kick off this journey and we kick off this year, God, I would pray that we would just be willing to go, you know what? I'm not going to live like that. I'm not going to settle for that. And God, I want to have eyes for the race that you have created for me. And so, Father, I pray this week that we would go, yeah, one handful of tranquility is better with two. And you've created me for a race, God, and I want to know what that race is. And I want to put all my energy into the people and the places and the experiences that you have carved out for me. Father, I thank you just for the wisdom of just what we read, and just the plan that you have created us to live and to experience with you. God, may we this week, whether it be listing the things we're grateful for, or maybe, God, there's some conversations where we just need to go, you know, I'm happy for you. We just need to start celebrating other people's success, even though we wish those successes were our successes. And in doing so, God, you're going to do a great work in our hearts. Thank you, God, that we've got issues, and we've got this issue, but you have a way that this issue does not have to move our lives. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Hey, a couple things before you sign off real quick. One is make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because there's actually going to be more videos like this coming out over the next few weeks as we continue our I've Got Issues series, and we don't want you to miss out on any of those. In fact, you can also share today's service with a friend and just say, hey, this was helpful for me. I hope this will be helpful for you. And invite them to join us back next week, as we're going to look at one of the biggest issues that we all deal with, but we may not see it playing out in our life, but it has that potential to take us out and impact every area of our life. And so I want to invite you to join us for that issue next week. You can join us at one of our locations, or continue to join us on our YouTube channel, so you can subscribe to be notified for that. And as you bring a friend, as you share this, you are actually playing your part in God's vision to help us bring the hope of Jesus into every home. Hey, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you stay safe and stay warm, and the power stays on. Thanks again. Have a great week.